I'm like, why am I stressed? I don't know her. I have had people talk negatively about me to someone else, and then the person they were talking negatively about me ended up researching me and was like, well, this sister is cold. Ended up being clients.
Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Speak Your Way to Cash show. And today we're talking about something that every business owner needs. How do you show up for your business and make sales when you don't feel like it, when it's hard, when life is getting to you, when life is lifing? How do you develop the ability to push? And I'm so excited about this topic because, y'all, it is a lot going on. I'm not blind. I don't watch the news, but if you on social media, you're going to see some misinformation or some information or some disinformation. You can't even hide from negativity right now because negativity is flowing from the top down right now in America. And so I am exposed to a lot. I see a lot. I hear a lot. And I know that it weighs on the hearts of people. And I serve service-based business owners. And so unlike if I owned a toilet paper factory where that stuff just was on the shelves and it just sold without me and all of that, I am a part of my brand. It's a personal brand. And a lot of you are a personal brand. So you're a part of your brand. So it's very hard when your heart isn't in it, or when you're sad, or when you're going through a period of like depression, or if you just lost someone and maybe you're grieving, to continuously show up and make sales. So I want to talk today about the systems that you need to show up when it's hard so that you can keep making sales, so that you can keep going on, okay? So I want to keep that in mind. And I have notes here so I can stay on track because I think this is an important video, but y'all know I be getting off track. So number one, here's the truth about it. When life be lifing, your thoughts be running. And a huge threat to productivity is overthinking. And there was a study that came out that said, we have over 70,000 thoughts per day. Over 80% of those thoughts are actually negative. And then there was a separate study done that said of the thoughts that we have, over 90% are repetitive thoughts, like things that we're thinking all the time. And so it made me think, like, if you put two and two together, and if you believe even a little bit of either of those studies, then that would mean that a lot of the negative thoughts that we have them over and over and over and over and over and over again. So imagine someone who looks in the mirror. I used to, oh my God, when I was younger, I remember I used to look in the mirror and I'd be like, oh my God, I got to get rid of this belly fat. And then and that is a recurring thought, okay? Like something as simple as that, but it's not a positive thought, it's a negative thought. And if we were to take inventory of our thoughts, and if we were to think like, okay, of the thoughts that I'm thinking, which of these is actually helping me get to my goal? And which of these thoughts is serving as like barriers and are pulling me back? If each of your thoughts had an identity, would they be a positive identity or a negative identity? Would they be helping you get to your future or holding you back? And so I think the first thing that you should do is start taking inventory of your thoughts. One of the things that makes humans unique and different is that we are the only living species on this planet that has the ability to actually think about our thoughts. Okay? We can actually think about our thoughts. And so I would tell anyone, if you are going through a hard time, the best thing that I have done when I've gone through a hard period, I remember there was a time, man, it was tough. I had gotten sick. I was in the hospital and it was unexpected. I could not work. I couldn't even get a message out to my team about work. And I was alone and I was really sad. And I just felt like I had let people down. And I remember in that moment, just like pulling out a pen and paper and writing a letter from my future self to my current self. So I wrote a letter, and I really wish I would have done a better job of like capturing these moments or even saving these letters. But I wrote a letter from my future self to my current self. And I think I was like, I'm going to write a letter to myself right now as if I'm a 75-year-old woman. And it was like, Ashley, you and Chris still are madly in love. You've written 5 New York Times bestsellers. You've helped over 100,000 women to have more confidence and grow their businesses. You have helped thousands of women to become multi-million-dollar business owners. You have done all the things that happen. Your daughter is running things. She's actually right now changing the landscape as it relates to, like, literally like a letter. And it was like in detail. And it just made me feel like I'm going through a moment, but this is not my life. This is a moment inside of a very beautiful, very fulfilling, very incredible life. And I would tell anyone, like, if you're going through something really, really hard and you really can't see your way out, and even though you're still living and you're still trying and you're still working, life just feels heavy. Like your feet almost feel like you have sand around your ankles. And so it's harder to get out of bed in the morning. And everything you do, it takes a little bit longer. And if you're in that place right now, write a letter. Like, do the exercise of putting yourself in your future and then write your current self a letter from your future self and make it as detailed as humanly possible. And I want you to put stuff in that letter as if you are literally prophesying to yourself and it's going to come to pass. And you are going to read that letter and you are going to reread that letter until you start feeling a little bit better. And then after you write that letter, you're going to have to make a plan, because here's the thing. When life is hard, you have less energy. If you have less energy, it's easier to do what someone else tells you to do. Problem with being an entrepreneur is, if you're depressed and you got to go to a day job where somebody else is going to give you tasks, that's one thing. If you're an entrepreneur and you're going through a period of depression or sadness or weakness or grief or whatever, and no one is there to tell you what to do, everything goes to a halt unless you make a plan. And in this plan, you need to make it so easy and so simple for yourself. You're going to get enough energy to write down a plan, make it very detailed, and then you are not going to commit to doing every little thing on that plan. You're just going to commit to doing what's written. Like, don't even commit to I'm going to do all these tasks tomorrow. No. I'm going to just take it one task by one task. What do I mean by this? I mean, let's say you're someone who needs to make sales calls, but you're going through a period of time where you just don't feel up to it. Then what you would typically do when you're feeling good is probably just start making the calls, pick up the phone, call people, have conversations. When you don't feel it, you don't need to start picking up calls. You need to start with a plan. You need to write out, okay, these are the people that I'm going to reach out to. I'm going to reach out to 10 people a day. When I call them, I'm going to say this. And you and maybe even ChatGPT work on a script. And then you're not going to commit to making 100 calls. You're going to commit to reading 100 scripts, which is easier than you just mustering up the courage to have to make every single call and do every little thing. You're going to commit to reading the script. Maybe you need to have someone go back and pull all the videos you've done in the past and use something like an Opus Clips, and I'll give you the link for that. It's a tool that'll actually take old form videos, even live stream videos, you guys. You just put in the link and then boom, it'll make you 20 or 30 clips. You may need to have somebody where all they do is they take them links, they put out them clips, and they schedule using like a Metricool or something, your social media content out, because you may not have it in you to make new content. But you then need to use a tool like a ManyChat so that every time someone comments, you can DM them. It'll DM them automatically a link, and they can opt in to they can opt in to getting on your email list. You need to automate. You need to have a system. You need to make a plan. You need to write the plan. And what I will say to anyone who's watching this video who's feeling good, you need to make an SOS plan for when you don't feel good. So this is good to do before you even get there. So if you're like, I don't need to watch this, I'm feeling great right now, life is good for me, I don't know what's going on, that's great. You need to make a plan for when you ain't gonna feel so great. How are you going to get sales, and how are you going to keep going? How is your team going to function if you can't show up and do all the things that you typically do? Make a plan. Make a plan. Another thing that you can do is create a webinar or a video where you're selling your main offer or product or service. And when you're not feeling it, just have your team pitch people with that video. Hey, Ashley would love for us to send you this video right now. It's free. It's going to be up for free until this time. Go ahead and watch it all the way through. Can you commit to watching it by Wednesday? If they commit to watching it by Wednesday, have your team follow up on Thursday. Hey, I heard I saw you watch the video. Did you hear her talk about the blank offer? Would you be interested in buying that? Like, how can you create something where even if you can't talk about your offers and service, there's a video of you talking about it that someone else could send out? Well, Ashley, I don't have anyone else. Hire a VA. Hire someone on Fiverr to just send out. Like, you're going to have to think about, if I can't do it, do I have anyone else who can start helping me make sales in my business? But I'll tell you guys this, if you're feeling a little off right now, you ain't alone. A lot of people are feeling a little bit off. Honor those feelings. That's okay that you feel a little bit off, that you don't feel like doing all the things, everything, all the time. But as a business owner, you still have a responsibility because I have feelings, but my business doesn't. So I'm going to have to put a plan in place so that even when my feelings got me down, my revenue isn't, because my business doesn't have the same feelings as me. I have feelings, but the business has needs. And the business needs revenue. And so I want us as business owners to think about, if I couldn't make content for a month, but I need content to go out every day, and I want that content to lead to leads, how can I get content out? Does anyone on my team know how to put out content without me by using what I've already done? And then this is where this comes in. Listen to me good on this. Every day I can, I do it for every day I can't. So today I feel good, so I'm making content. I'm doing my videos. I'm giving it my all. I'm here. I'm talking to y'all. I'm putting it out. We're doing it. And I'm going to do this. And every day I wake up and I have the ability of my limbs and my mind is in the right place, I'm going to give my business my all, because there's going to come a day where I can't. But guess what? My team has 1,500 YouTube videos. They have 100 webinars they can send out. They have lists of people they can call. They've been trained on sales calls. And so the days I can't, I know they can. But every day I can, I'm going to give it my all, because we don't know what's going to happen in this world. And so I just would say to anyone who's been feeling a little bit down, but you're not out. Down don't mean out, baby. So if you a little bit down, but you're not out, give it your all. Make the plan, make it plain. And if it's hard for you to be consistent, then write it out. Make it so simple. Like, start with a script, start with a plan, start with a system. And then all you have to do is commit to working it. We are going to get back to this good episode in just a second, but I have a question for you. Can I help you build a $25,000 offer, like one that you could sell to small businesses or large businesses alike? And can I do it for free? Because that's exactly what I'm doing at the end of this month at the Your First Corporate Offer Summit. For 2 days, I'm going to show you on day 1 how to build your corporate offer, and on day 2 how to sell your corporate offer, and it's going to blow your mind. We have had thousands of students sign up for this summit, and they have always gotten value, but I feel like you're VIP if you're watching this episode. So if you get a VIP ticket, I'm going to hand deliver to you 50 corporate offers and the prices that you can charge for them, so you don't even have to think about whether or not this offer is quote unquote good. Now, we're also going to give you an opportunity to upgrade to a platinum ticket, which would allow you to get one-on-one coaching from me during the summit. Everyone with a platinum ticket gets at least one-on-one question time with me during the summit. So you get to ask your question, come on Zoom, and I'll coach you live right there. Look, whether you get a free ticket, a VIP ticket with the workbook, or you upgrade from VIP to platinum, you are going to have a great time. And if you want to sell higher tiered offers, this is the summit that you have to attend to. So go to speakyourwaytocashsummit.com and get a ticket to the Your First $25,000 Offer Summit. And I'll see you there. Life is going to happen to everyone, literally everyone. We are all going to have life happen to us. And so we need a plan for what we're going to do when life happens. So number 1, you're going to have to police your thoughts. Make sure that you're not giving yourself negative thoughts or having negative thoughts persistently. Can you change your thoughts? You can. You know, there's actually science to suggest that overthinking affects the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that deals with action taking and decision making. Think about that. So when we're overthinking, we are shrinking the part of our brain that deals with action taking and decision making. But here's the beautiful part about the human brain. The human brain is basically elastic. So you can retrain your brain at any time. You can actually give your brain positive thoughts. You can rebuild neurons that were once damaged. It's incredible what the human brain can do. And so the more positivity you feed your brain, the more you make that your default, the more your brain is going to lean towards those thoughts. So you do want to do the active work of policing your thoughts. That way you know, what do I need to get rid of in here and what should I be putting into here? Which is why positive content is really helpful for you. But negative content ain't so helpful. So when you watch the news, now you have a little, I used to watch reality shows, y'all. And I used to watch like really bad reality shows. Like, I ain't even gonna name them because I already know probably somebody who's in one of those shows is watching this video. But literally I used to watch reality shows and the women were so catty and so mean and so anxious. And I just started paying attention to how my body was physically positioned when I would watch those shows. And lo and behold, I'd watch those shows, my shoulders way up here. I'm like, why am I stressed? I don't know her. You know what I mean? Like, they're not yelling at me. They're not being rude to me. They're not being messy to me. But literally just consuming that content had me like this. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. I used to be around certain people and I would notice how my spirit felt around them. And I'm like, every time I'm around them, I get this this like warmness in me, but not warmness in a good way, but like warmness in a be alert, be alert, be alert. And it's like, they're not a trustworthy person. Like your body does tell you, and it does keep score. So there are people you're around and you're just like, ooh, something about her. I'm comfortable around her. She's so honest. And there's other people's like, alert, alert, danger, danger. So like you want to be careful about what you even consume in your recreational time, especially when you're going through a hard time. And I recommend everyone have what's called, I call it my action SOS plan. The things that I'm going to do when I don't feel like doing anything. And for me, it's like, I need to get on the treadmill. I need to force myself to get on the treadmill, even if it's just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because moving your body always makes me feel better. Moving my body always makes me feel better. I need to get some sun. If it's sun outside and I'm not feeling good, I'm just feeling stressed out, I go outside, I look up at the sun, y'all, and I will just stand there for as long as it takes for me to feel better. Sometimes I'll go in my garage and I will just yell at the top of my lungs until I feel better. There are things that I will do. And I think I always hear people talk about like biohacking, and a lot of successful people are really into biohacking, like hacking their own system. I am really into studying myself so that I know how I feel in different circumstances, and then just being able to control my emotions. And I think I talked about this before on the channel and some of the other videos, but I heard Tony Robbins talk about state and how he can change his state with he's like, if you look at your body, if you were to clap, like how do you feel versus when you're just sitting there not moving? And I'm like, oh, I feel better when I clap. And he's like, yeah, because we have the ability to change our state. And it's like, if I were happy right now, what would I be doing? Oh, I'd be smiling. And it's like, how do you feel when you smile versus when you frown? And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. You can change your state when you can put your shoulders back. You can stand up straighter. All those things actually do matter, and they help. Even when you're speaking, they say that you should have a confident pose. Like that really does help. You know what I'm saying? So I try to think of those things, and I would offer that to you is like, can you change your state? Are there things that you can do to make yourself just feel better for long enough to get you to get to the next activity, to get to the next action? And then, of course, there's always therapy. There's always prayer. There's always, for me, gospel music. There's uplifting music. You want to know what Pandora station hits every time? Transformation Church Pandora station. Now, let me make sure that's the name of it, because this Pandora station is going to always have some music on it. That's just, yes, the Transformation Worship Pandora station. Every time it hits. So there's that. 2, I'm always working to make my will stronger than my feelings. And this means disciplining myself to act opposite how I feel. So if I feel like not doing anything, every single time I will myself to do something when I don't feel like it, I'm developing discipline. And so every time you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to send this pitch, I don't want to reach out to this client, I don't want to make this content, but you do it anyways, and it works out and you're safe and nothing happens to you on the other side of that, what you're doing is you're disciplining your feelings. You're literally developing the discipline of, oh, I'm strong enough to act even though I don't feel like it. It's like, it's hard to explain, but there's something so powerful about, I didn't want to work out this morning, but I still got on that treadmill. I did not want to do that, but I did that. And it's like, I conquered that feeling, which means that you have more control and more discipline over your outcomes. Because if your feelings driven 100% of the time, you don't have as much control over your outcomes, because you require a particular feeling in order to actually take a certain action. And those of us that have developed the discipline to act in spite of our feelings, we can go through storms. We can go through hard times. Because if you've never developed that discipline and then a hard time comes, well, depending on how long that hard time lasts, you are out the game for as long as your season. But if a hard time comes and you've disciplined yourself to act opposite of your feelings, then now you can outlast the storm. And if you're an entrepreneur, hard times will come. So you got to learn to outlast the storm. And even if it's like, okay, I physically can't do it because I'm sick or I'm ill or I'm too grief stricken, then you got to prepare your team before that storm comes. And you have to have at least one person on your team that you trust to carry the baton if you're out the race for a period of time. That's so critically important. But how do you start developing that discipline? How do you start, like, Ashley, okay, that's great, discipline. How do I develop that? Well, The only way I have ever developed a discipline is by doing what I did not want to do in the moment, is by waking up and going to pray when I didn't feel like it, waking up and going to work out when I didn't want to. And so the only invitation that life gives you to develop discipline comes in hard times. So the next time you don't want to do something that is actually going to make your life better, make your business better, if you do it, no matter what it is, if it's like at a restaurant, they say, hey, you want a Coke Zero or do you want a water? And you say water. That's an invitation to develop discipline. If you are knowing you're supposed to pitch 10 times a day, like I tell you to do in all my other YouTube videos, go watch those videos and you don't want to do it and you get to number 7 and you want to give up. If you get to number 8 and then you do number 9 and then you do 10, that is how you develop the discipline. And then you have to do it again the next day. And what happens is, I want to give you some encouragement. It gets easier. Every time you eat a little bit of hard for breakfast, it then gets easier to consume for lunch. But if you never eat the hard always defeats you. And I want you to think about it like this. There is a war going on inside of you. What you know you should do, what you feel like doing, at odds. Somebody's going to submit every time. I just want the right thing to submit. I want my feelings to submit to my beliefs. I believe this business is going to grow. I believe it takes sales to grow this business. I'm going to sell when I don't feel like it. I believe it takes visibility to grow this business. One thing my husband told me that transformed the way that I work is he was like, babe, the more people know about you, the more people will love you. The more people that know about you, the more business you'll get. You don't have an issue of not having a good product. You have an issue of not being known enough. So if we just get you more known, then more people will know about you and they'll do business with you and you'll get more opportunities. So your focus isn't, how do I make people do this? No. Don't worry about what people do. You just worry about more people knowing about you. It don't even matter if the wrong people know about you. I have had people talk negatively about me to someone else, and then the person they were talking negatively about me ended up researching me and was like, well, this sister is cold. Ended up being clients. And it was because someone was talking bad about me. So, oh, Lord, thank you for my enemies, because they have even helped me grow my brand. Everyone is helping you grow your brand. All things work together for the good of those that believe, right? And if we believe that, then you don't have to worry, oh my God, but then what if they reject me and what if da-da-da-da? Okay, that's all gonna happen. They gonna do that. They gotta do that. They're supposed to do that. They are working on your behalf when they do that. But I don't want my feelings to submit. Well, I want my feelings to submit to my belief. I don't want my belief to be so weak that it submits to my feelings. What you believe is what you do, right? So if I believe, God's got my back, I'm gonna grow this business, it's all gonna work out, then my actions have to align with that belief. But if I say I believe that, but my actions just align with me not showing up powerfully, then what I really believe is that this isn't that big of a deal. It probably won't work anyways. Because if I told you all you gotta do is send 10 pitches tomorrow, and you are guaranteed to make $1 billion, I bet I would have a 100% completion rate of those 10 pitches because they believe that it would work. So if that's the case, if I say, how many people did you pitch last week? And you say, no one, what is your belief, right? Now, when life happens, our beliefs are always threatened. Because I had a strong belief in God, and then when life got crazy, or when I went to college, so before college, I was like goody two shoes for sure. So I was like, I was like Bible thumping. I would bring my Bible to school, and I'd be like, you need to get saved. Y'all out here cursing, talking about people. Y'all ain't saved. Y'all going to hell. That's not bad. That's not the right. You shouldn't do this. This is just what I was doing. So I was like really super sheltered, right? So I'm like, yeah, these kids are going to hell. This is not good. And I'd be telling them. And they'd be talking about me, and they would be teasing me, and I'd be like, tease me all you want, because the Bible says, you know what I mean? Like, I was totally that girl. And then I went to college, and all of a sudden, because, in high school, I was like, my first kiss, not in high school, when I was young, probably like, 13, 14, 15, around there, I thought my first kiss would be my wedding day. Now, spoiler alert, that didn't happen. Okay? Thought my first time doing anything would be my marriage. That didn't happen either, But that's what I believed. I was like, but see, when I believed that, I didn't have no fine men walking around campus. I didn't have no dorm room without no parents around. I wasn't tested. So what I'm saying is, when life happens, your beliefs are going to be tested for sure. Like that's what life does. And that doesn't just extend to your beliefs about your Christian faith and how you should act as a believer. That extends to every area of your life. So as soon as you say, I'm going to make $1 million this year, you know what happens? Tests. As soon as you say, I'm going to live right and eat right, and you know what happens? Juicy burgers. Tests. Soon as you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to read my Bible, I'm going to pray, what happens? Distractions, tests. Like, I don't think we understand this. And I'm only talking to my leaders, the people who are like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm going to do this. And there's something that God has placed in my heart and I have books that I have to get out and I have people I have to serve and I have to, as soon as you voice it, you know what happens? Tests. And I personally believe that the test, it's like a gate. And your test, how you go through that gate, if you choose to go through that gate, or if you allow that gate to keep you exactly positioned where you're at, it determines the people who break out and change the world and the people who just dream about it, and the people who critique everybody else that does it, the people who actually take action or the people that don't. I know it can get hard. I know life can be tough. I know it's not fair, and it might not even be your fault, the situation that you're in, but it is a test. And unfortunately, tests give grades. And what's cool is with life, it lets you retake the test over and over and over again until you pass it. Very similar to school. You have to pass a certain level before you go into the next level. Now, every now and then, some teachers may pass you along. But the way life is set up, it typically does not. That test will represent itself, and maybe in a different form, maybe in the exact same form. But I wanted to make this video because there's so many of you who feel like life has been kicking you around and you've been on the defense, and I want you to get on the offense. I want you to make a plan today. When I don't feel good, this is the sermon I'm gonna listen to. This is the YouTube video I'm gonna come to. This is exactly what I'm going to do because I have a mission, and the mission is stronger than my feelings, and the mission is even stronger than me. So if I don't steward the mission well, I believe God will give the mission that He put in my heart to somebody else to do if I'm not gonna do it. I'm not so arrogant as to believe God doesn't have options of who He can use. I'm not the only one. I'm not some special flower. You know what I mean? Now, I'm special. Like I'm good at what I do and all that, but it's not like I'm so great that no one else would ever be able to get God's plan into the earth like me. I don't believe that. And so I have to operate with that belief, meaning that if life is giving me an opportunity to get my food under control, to get my business under control, if I'm all of a sudden realizing I got to get my team better, I have this desire to be a better leader, that's not out of nowhere. That is divine alignment. That is like, do this because you're about to blow up, sis. And if I believe that, then even when it's hard, I have to know how to act. Why? Because let's say I'm a CEO that doesn't develop the ability to operate when things are hard, and I don't put in systems in place for the company to keep running when I don't feel like it, or when I'm sick, or when I'm grieving. Then would it be wise for me to have 1,000 employees if I can't manage 10? No. So why would I be praying, oh Lord, please give me 100 employees? I can't manage the 15 I got. Why would I be, I need 50,000 clients and customers when I can't manage the 30 I got? Like, why would that happen? Like, if God is a good God, I don't want Him to give me anything that'll hurt me or kill me or hurt anybody else. And so if that's the case, then I have to be able to manage what's on my plate when it's hard. And I'm a leader. And so I have to lead people through hard. I can't lead you through hard if hard always defeats me. Right? And I can't tell you how to get through things if I ain't never been through anything. I've been sick. I'm a survivor of sexual assault. I've had all types of things happen. As hard as it is to believe, me and Chris have had arguments before, and I've still had to show up and do my business. Like, I have a really good marriage, but there have been things that we've had to overcome and get through. Like, ain't no need in pretending like there ain't been days when I didn't want to work because my daughter was up all night when she was still figuring out how to sleep through the night, but I still had to show up. There ain't been times where I didn't have a babysitter and I had to bring her to work with me and I still had to show up. When I first had Christelle, May 2020, I was nursing. So I had to there is video footage of me, y'all. I don't know where it's at. But like, all you hear in the video is this, zzz, 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 while I'm talking and teaching and pitching my services. And literally someone in the chat is like, are you pumping right now? Like, are you pumping breast milk right now? Because I know that noise. And I'm like, mind your business. because I'm doing this pitch while pumping, baby, okay? And we made 6 figures that day. But people be like, oh, but I couldn't because I had to stop and pump, and it's too hard, and it's too this, and it's too... I eat hard for breakfast. I have to, right? I don't have a choice. With the calling that's on my life, it requires me to have an appetite for hard. It requires me to have an appetite for difficult. It don't mean I want to eat it every day. It's like vitamins. You know, you take them because you need them, but you don't really want, like, who wants to eat? Oh, I love my vitamin C. I mean, you know, like, you do it because it's healthy for you. It's good for me to know how to handle hard. It's good for you to know how to handle hard. It's also good for you to know when you need to share the meal. That's where team comes in. It's also good for you to know if I'm gonna eat hard for breakfast and I'm gonna need to have therapy once a month. If I'm gonna eat hard for breakfast and I need to work out 3 times a week. If I'm gonna eat hard for breakfast and I need to change my diet so I'm not sluggish all the time. But like, you are gonna have to go through things, but you are equipped. And if life is giving you the opportunity to go through a particular thing and to work through something, then there's a reason for that. And you have to believe that as hard as it feels, it will work out for your good. I'm not even saying it's your fault. There's things in life that happen that are not your fault, but I need you to not let it rob you of your voice, because that's what happens is, you go through something hard and it affects your confidence. It affects your business revenue. You had a business and it failed. It didn't work out. You had a launch. It didn't go well. And now you come back, but you're lacking confidence. If every time life does something hard, it like chips away at you thing by thing. I just want you to know that that's exactly what the enemy would love. He would love that for you. He'd be like, yeah, look at her. I got her now. Like, there is a calling on your life. Everyone that is watching this video, there is a calling on your life. There is something very specific that you are able to do. And you're able to do it specifically because of all the experiences in your life. And it's going to change the lives of others. And if you don't figure out your process, your SOS plan, when it's hard, this is how I get myself back on the boat. When I don't feel like it, this is how I get myself back aligned with action. Then it's going to be hard for you to develop and go to the next level in your business. Now, number 3, you may need to change your business structure. Let's have a heart-to-heart. If everything in your business requires you, every offer you sell. So if you're a one-person band and you sell coaching, for instance, you shouldn't sell coaching that requires coaching calls every day because you got one person on your team. You may want to look at an automated course and have an upsell for them to get individual coaching with you, and maybe it's a quarterly call. If they get 12 months access to a course and a quarterly call with you, if they pay in full, that could be a good offer for you, because even though the sales of it is active, the marketing of it is active, the delivery of it is passive. Do you see what I mean by that? So I got to actively market, actively put out social media content, but after the transaction happens, I can automate it being delivered. You can even automate check-ins after it's delivered to them. Okay? And then after you do that on the automation side, now you're focused on the sales and the marketing, but the operations of it, the delivery of it can be passive. That is something to consider. Is my business structured for my capacity? Because there was a time when mine wasn't. I was doing weekly calls, meeting up with people every month. Like, I could not have scaled that. I would have burnt out before I could scale that. Sometimes your business is not structured for scale or peace. And so I want you to reevaluate your offers. If you're selling something, it takes so much work to sell something. Do you have any recurring revenue in your business where they buy it, but they commit to a monthly payment of that? Not a payment plan, but like they're in a membership where they are in it for as long as they would like to be in it, right? Until they cancel. Like, do you have anything like that? And I'm not saying you need to create that if you don't have the capacity to create that, but it's something to think about. It's like, am I offering something that doesn't require me to be there for every piece of the delivery? Because if you have to be there for every piece of the delivery, every piece of the sale, and every piece of the marketing, you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. And so team is really important, and even structuring your offers for that. Also, small audience, premium offers. When our audience was smaller, a big mistake we made was coming out with like, oh, I'm gonna put out an ebook. I see all these big influencers doing ebooks. Well, yeah, girl, they got millions of followers. So if 1% of their followers buy a little $67 ebook, that's great. But 1% of your 100 followers buying an ebook, that's poverty. So you can't be selling stuff that don't make sense for what you got. Like, all of it needs to be aligned. And that level of strategy is why coaching is so important. It's why people join our mastermind. It's why people hire me to coach them and give them strategy. It does need to be aligned, because you need to think through there's 3 parts of any business: sales, marketing, and delivery. There's 4 parts, really. The silent is the mindset of the leader. But like sales, marketing, and delivery. So if sales, marketing, delivery is 3 parts of any business, sales, marketing, and operations, then if you got to be a part of all them parts at a high level, you gonna burn out. You gonna be stressed. And some of your stress isn't from external factors, it's from internal factors. It's because of what you've built. And you now have to maybe be brave enough to reimagine what you thought would be forever. Like the dream business in reality may not be a dream. So let's dream a new dream. And when we wake up, let's build a new thing that makes sense and that actually aligns, okay? And I want you to know, sometimes we think a mindset shift I had to make is I have to earn my rest through really intense effort. And that's just not true. You have to rest as a part of your wealth building strategy. You have to rest as a part of building your business. Now, that does mean when you are actively working, you need to be productive so that when you are resting, it is like, I need to be productive when I'm working, but when I'm resting, I'm off. Or when I'm resting, I'm as close to off as I'm going to be. And then get the discipline to be off. Because some of you can't turn it off right away. That's okay. Work towards it. Like set a goal for rest. The same way you don't go from fat to fit overnight is the same way you're not going to go from I don't know how to take a break to now I'm a rest expert. Okay, like if you are a high functioning person and you're literally like always on, you may not go from I'm always on to like taking month-long sabbaticals. You may go from I'm always on to taking an hour a day where I just clear my brain and I meditate, or I watch TV and I don't think about work. That may be a part of your process. I think that we sometimes shame people who work a lot, and then we're like, oh, you need to take a break. And it's like some people have to practice that. They have to work their way up to being off. They'll take off, but still be mentally on. So they'll physically be off, but be mentally on. And developing the discipline to be mentally off does take some concerted work and effort, which is why if you study meditation for any period of time, you'll learn really quickly that most of the time clearing your head is like the hardest part of meditation. And it takes practice. So even resting, you guys, takes practice. So sis, I had someone in the comments, she was like, I really struggle with being off. That's okay. No one is running to do what they're bad at. Some of y'all don't rest enough because you think you're bad at it. You're not bad at it. It takes practice. So you're going to start and it's going to be hard the first day. And then you're going to get better. And then you're going to learn maybe you could block some tools. Maybe you need to not talk to certain people who you talk to about work all the time. Maybe you need to, there's things that you can do. There's places you can go where you rest better than other places. That's okay. So practice the rest. But look, y'all, heart to heart, there are things in my business I don't want to do. There are times when I don't feel like working. There's times when I don't feel like putting out content. There's times when I wonder, does it even matter? There are times when I wonder, I'm doing all this work. Does anyone even care about it? Am I even helping people? Are my offers good? Am I really showing up the way that I can show? I have insecurities. I have things about myself that I don't like. I have things about myself that I absolutely love. And I have things about myself that I want to work on, that I want to get better at. Everybody struggles. There's mornings where I just want to lay in bed all day. And you know what I also do on those days? I plan my next day off. If I can't take off that day, I'm like, okay, cool, I need an off day. I will rearrange my schedule if I'm really not able to do it, And so I want you to know that I've been there. I still have days like that. I have times where I really do wonder, I'm doing all this stuff. I feel like I believe that this is all for a greater purpose, but what if it's not? What if I spent my whole life doing this and it's just not going to get the reward? And then I have to counteract those thoughts with what I believe, what I know about myself and what I know about my God and what I know about my life. And I have a bank. I have a video on here called 3 strategic prayer strategies that I use or something. Go watch that video because it allows me to have an evidence bank of all the things that God has brought me from and all the things that he's done for me and all the ways in which he's shown up and all the times in my life where it didn't look like it was working out or I was just doing something, but how I developed a skill in that season. Like I think back to making $25,000 a year working in this Latino company. Everybody was speaking Spanish in meetings, knowing I didn't speak Spanish. I felt so alone, so isolated, so bad. They were kind of rude too. And I worked at this company, but I was over, and the only reason they hired me, because like, why would this company even hire you? They were trying to make money off the Black community. They had something called the African American, I got to say the name of it, but they had a job board for Black folks, basically. And I was over the marketing and the development of that job board. And they brought me in to do all the marketing and all the development. They paid me $25,000 a year. And it was such a bad work environment. I remember going to work at 7 a.m., blasting gospel music and praying and like anointing all their offices. They didn't even know. But I would get there so early. I would be there with the cleaners and I would just play my music and I would pray over all the offices. And I would still be at work and I'd be like, I did all that prayer and I still hate it here, right? And I would have my AirPods in for most of the day listening to gospel music just to keep my mind right. And at this time, me and Chris were newly married and we were both ministers at his dad's church. And so we were going to church. Man, they were an apostolic church for real. We were probably going to church 3-4 days a week. And so I was never too far from being in the house of God. But I remember recently I thought about it and I was like, I did marketing at that job to African Americans. And I built up that whole platform for them. And I do marketing all the time now. And I have a business where my main clients are Black women experts. And we serve everybody. Y'all are watching this from all over the world. I have clients that represent all aspects of life. But still, that is still my largest demographic. And I'm like, wow, that is when it started, right? That is when it started. In that job that I hated, I learned that I could do marketing. I learned that I could put things online, and I learned digital marketing. And then I went and did marketing for cars.com. And then I went and did sales for acquiring. I worked and did 100 calls a day and I got rejected 90% of the time. And then I went to law school and then I didn't work at just any firm. I worked at the best firm in the world and I got paid $300,000. I have made 25 grand in the job. I've made 300 grand in the job. I've made millions in business and I've made $800 in a year. I can relate to all of the people in between. Wherever you're at, I've been there. And I now can look back over my life and say definitively, every season gave me something that I needed, including the seasons that I thought I really didn't need. And so I just want to encourage you that not only is everything going to work out for you, but every opportunity that life gives you to develop discipline is because you have a specific calling on your life that requires the strength to do something even greater than you're doing right now. And you think that you're being overlooked, and you think that you're being cast aside, and you think that people don't see you, and you think that it's not working out the way that you want it to work out, but it's actually positioning you for exactly what you need. And every rejection it literally served as a GPS to the destination that you're going. Like no over here meant that you went this way. No over here meant that you went that way. No to this speaking engagement meant that you weren't there so that you could be here. It is all positioning you. And the stronger you believe that, the easier it's going to be for you to keep going through any economic climate, through any political climate, through any social climate. And that's critically important, okay? That is critically important. So I just want to thank you guys. This was a little bit of a different episode, but I felt like in everything that's going on right now, even this week, like this episode was needed. If you got something of value from it, let me know. Make sure y'all are checking out our Behind the Build episodes as well. And if you want me to teach you how to land your first $25,000 corporate offer or how to build your first $25,000 corporate offer, come to the Your First Corporate Offer Summit. Go to www.speakyourwaytocashsummit.com and I will see you there. Deuces.
Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. Energy high, excuses low. I need energy, need only good people that's around me. All the faith you can give, that's the recipe.